So when looking at Chicago and looking at rights and what does Donna do to actually get the production she wants, tell me about Chicago and working those.
So you asked me what show did I want to do? Well, Chicago is a show I've wanted to do. It's the one show for a very long time. Now that response, and Anthony they've worked on that for a long time, of trying to get those rights, and Barry Weissler holds the rights to Chicago.
They being Stratford admin.
We've been trying to get that as a show. When you say what show, that's a show I really wanted to do.
How many years did they try?
A long time, 8, yeah. And so finally, back.
And sorry, Chicago is not. They're not releasing the rights because they have other productions, or
the choreography is completely attached to it. It's Bob Fosse. They have a production that's running in New York very successfully. It's more of a concert version. There's just the bands on stage. There's not really any costume changes. It's worked great. There was a production before that on Broadway, but this is the production that's been running for 25 years. Barry has the rights to it, and it was always like, no, I think he's been very great with the festival, but he wasn't ready.
This is Barry
Weissler.
Weissler,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Him and his wife Fran, and very prominent in the New York scene.
And he is an agent. He's a
producer.
He's a producer.
But he also, he's a producer, but he also owns, he has the rights to this show and to Chicago specifically. And so when we wanted, we tried again, and this was 2019, pre-pandemic, and it was a conversation, and Barry said, I don't know, and there was always like, there's going to be a tour, we don't want to compete, da-da-da. And then he said, okay, well, maybe, let me have a conversation with Donna. What does she want to do? Why? And so I got on the phone, and Barry's talks like this. All right, Donna, tell me, what do you want? What do you want? I said, well, I really just think this is a great show. It's fucking great. And I just need to redo the whole thing.
I do have to ask a little. When you're talking to someone like Barry in New York, is Donna from Prince George at that moment, or is Donna low? No, I've worked all over North America. I'm going to talk to you, Barry, one-on-one.
I'm sitting here going,
so it is.
Of course.
Okay.
Oh gosh, no.
And do you have to have 2 coffees before that?
No,
or?
and that's you just like you rehearse. How am I going to talk to Barry Weissler? And I'm using my big important voice, and then it's like, hi Barry, but he just wanted to know what I was thinking, and then from there it was so easy for me because I loved the show, and I had all these ideas of what I wanted to do with it, and he said, okay, all right, I get it. And then at the end of the day, he said, okay, and this took a few phone calls of what I wanted to do with it. It was okay, I think it's time.
How many phone calls?
4.
Over how long a time?
Not very long.
A week?
Couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
Yeah. And then it was really, some of them were just short, and then it came down to, he was lovely, and he knows Stratford, he loves the place, and he knows the stage, and he knows the possibilities, and I talked to him what I wanted to do, but I just said it's just like have that intimacy with the audience, and I wanted to set it in the period. And he basically said, okay, but do none of it. You can do none of this. You've got to do all of it your own.
Oh.
Not the same set, no band, no anything. And he said it in an encouraging way. He didn't say, you can't. He just said, just go with it.
Why did he say that?
Because he wanted, I think he wanted, I had some thoughts and ideas. I think he just wanted me to be free to do that. Because this was a show, like Bob Fosse's genius. But there's Bob Fosse. That's it. That's Bob Fosse. And I thought that, this isn't a matter of me going, I'm going to do better than Bob Fosse. It was just interpreting the material differently and musically. And I wanted to create this high level, and Fosse's so tight and so, cool. It's a very different style. And I wanted to see musically, it tells you with classics of things being, Messiah, being reinvented and going, that to me is the ultimate in a revival. That you could take that material and could be completely different in the story. So
what changed? Because you said the administration tried for many years to get the rights.
Barry just wasn't ready to go, okay, I'm going to let this be in an A house somewhere else, outside of New York. it's been allowed to be somewhere,
So
other
it was
places.
timing, or was it
Timing.
Donna, or is it
No,
your
I think it was timing. I don't
persistence?
think it was me. I think it was timing, and then I had to just say, this is why this is time. I think it's time, and I, instead of doing 2 people in a dance number, there was 10. I just wanted to experiment and to go, okay, this could be cool.
Okay, so after he said, yes, do it.
Yeah.
You called Anthony and said, I've got it?
Well, after he said, yeah, well, then he said, yeah, but then it has to go through the channels of our
Okay.
producer and Anthony. And I'm sure him and Anthony had a conversation, say, yes, you can do it. And then it's the, okay, so it means not using any of the Fosse, which of course, I wouldn't, and it would make sense. But it actually freed me up. Instead of saying, well, you have to use this, but then not this, but then this, that would be hard to do. And we were just allowed to do, they wanted us to do a completely different set. And it was kind of great because we were
How long is the contract?
to do Chicago.
Yeah,
to get
how
the
many
rights.
pages? How many pages does Stratford have
I
to
don't know. I
read?
don't see it. I don't see that.
I'm curious
I
how
don't see
detailed
it.
this is.
I'm sure very detailed.
Is it like a 40-page contract,
I
80-page
don't-
contract?
Yeah, I don't. I know how big mine is, but it's but that's
See, I
not
mean,
right.
there's the creative part that you're talking about, and I'm talking about the management, grind it, do it.
Yeah.
Because we live in the money universe, and
Yeah.
Barry is the money power.
Yeah.
And somehow creatively you got
Yeah.
a space from him.
And I'm sure he realized that we have this is a big audience, and we have
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Both on the show and getting the rights.
It was, people ask me, what's the favorite show? I mean, Rocky Horror, that's another show that I got the
Right.
rights to with Howard Panter, of talking to him specifically. Again, this all been a great experience for me talking to these people because they just care about their show, and so do I. So that works out. It's easy. But Chicago for me was incredibly
Right.
special.
Right.
It was the time, it was coming back after the pandemic. We got nailed with COVID, and that company was extraordinary. They rallied together. We put the show up. Extraordinary. Sometimes those things happen, and the stars line up, and you got that show, and you just go, wow. So yeah, getting the rights is a real challenge, and
But that's also for the student in Prince George saying, you got to do it all. That means picking up the phone and phoning Barry.
That's my advice, though. Never assume anything. Just ask. You don't know. Just ask. Hey, can we do this? Can I try this? You don't know. There's always a lot of assumptions.
But
that
I
people
have to
won't.
remind you of the inherent confidence underneath that just ask.
Yeah, but sometimes there's confidence, and sometimes there's just like, okay, I just have to be confident because I can't.
Act confident?
Sure.